for us to interrupt your timeline, bring you some good stuff, talk to you about and bring you another one of our amazing red champions because they're the best. They really are. And we're not just saying that because they're our red champions. Okay, maybe we are. Okay, maybe we are. And we are biased and we're not ashamed of it. So we've got somebody really, really, really amazing tonight. You will see for yourself here in just a moment. But first, I am Colette Portis, COO Red Development Group, and my lovely co-host is...
And I am Reggie Stearns Kemp, CEO of Red Development Group.
Yes!
And we are excited to be here.
And we're excited to be here talking to you and having, we're going to have a great time. And as always, we promise that you will learn something you did not know before you leave here. Even if it's just the name of our guest. It doesn't matter. You learn something. So, without further ado, we have a great guest. So listen, we have a lot of community partners. We have a lot of red champions who come from all different walks of life, all different kinds of backgrounds and business. And all of a sudden, the fly wants to be in the Facebook Live with us. So sorry if you see a lot of hand gesturing. It's, well, I talk with my hands anyway, but part of that is going to be the fly. So anyway, we have an amazing guest with us tonight, and we're so excited to have him here with us on Red Light, and his name is Juan Marquez. And Juan's my soul brother number one. He getting his afro, and I threatened to buy him an afro pick. Yeah.
Do that.
And Juan is, I almost called you Afro. Juan is the consumer residential lender for Frost Bank. So see, listen, sometimes there's the assumption that your banker is going to be stuffy and stuff. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, hold on to your seat. Because Juan is not, listen, we're going to have fun. Anytime he's in the room, we have an amazing time. So Juan, welcome to the Red Light. Thank you for coming to hang out with us.
Well, thank you for having me, man. It's really an honor to even be mentioned with these two wonderful, wonderful women, powerful women. I am intimidated just by, being in virtual settings. So can you imagine what happens in a room with them, right? But it is an honor to be here today and champion, the Red Development and the Red Champion cause. I am excited. And, like Colette said, I ain't stuffy. So, I think that that's a big misconception. Those days are over. Now it's time about being engaging and being real. That's
So we're so excited to have you because what we know for sure is one of the absolute most important relationships that a business owner should have is one with their banker. And one of the questions I get asked, or I see a lot in like different groups and networking events and stuff like that, like, what bank should I bank with? And people go, oh, well, I bank here and I bank there. And I'm like, that's not how you pick a bank for your business. You got to have a relationship with your business. So first off, Juan, start by telling us who Frost Bank is, because not all banks are created equal. Right. So who is Frost Bank and who do you all look to serve?
So Frost Bank really is, above all things, is a Texas-only bank. So why is that important? Is because we've been around 150 years. Started out in San Antonio, over 150 years. And for that 150 years, Frost Bank's primary role has been to impact our local community through financial literacy programs, resources. And our core philosophy is this, that everyone should have the opportunity to bank with Frost. Everyone. So we find ways of making that possible because We want everyone to be a Frosty for life.
Frosty.
You know, that's
Y'all got
it.
Frosties? If y'all got Frosties, I'm coming.
You know, so
Yeah.
we can make it happen.
Well, living in
But
Texas,
you're
that's a
so
wonderful slogan.
Mm-hmm.
well, that's really it. I think what makes Frost different than any other banks, and I can roll out awards and recognition and check balances. No one really cares about much of that stuff. What makes Frost different is you get a banker, you'll know your banker by name. You'll have a direct number to that banker. You build that relationship. You don't know how many times people come to Frost, they really don't even do banking. They come for the coffee, the cookies, they use the computers, they talk about the dog and the family and how the kids are doing. And I think that's really what's important. It's about that relationship. It's not relational. It's not all about, I mean, it's not transactional. So if you walk into a Frost Bank, you're probably going to spend 45 minutes to an hour with someone like myself just talking. What got you into Frost? Before we ask for money and what your business plan and no, what's up? Where you been? Where you going? How you hear from us? Where you're at? What's going on? Why us? Where do you currently bank? Why do you want to move your banking relationship? I've had conversations with people. I've been with my bank 20 years. Well, listen, if you're gonna break up with me after 20 years, then why? Why all of a sudden I'm in your radar?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
After 20 years, you want to move? What happened? So, we have those conversations.
Right. So Juan, we met you at a chamber event. And
Yes.
as soon as we met you and you understood what we did for small businesses, everything just started clicking and we started doing different things together and collaborating. So why is it so important for Frost Bank to support small businesses?
Because at the end of the day, small businesses is what makes a community thrive.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you could have big corporate America in a community, but what really makes a community successful, it's the small businesses. It's the mom and pop shop that is looking to serve and that is looking to be custom and that's looking to be engaging. And I think that we see it, when this whole transaction happened with COVID-19 and when the economy hit, the first thing the government said, let's rescue our small businesses through this initiative, through this PPP program, right? Why did they do that? Because they understand that the bloodline of any economy, it doesn't really matter whether you are an emerging market, whether you are a super nation, it lives and dies on your small businesses. And for Frost is what we do day in and day out is what we do. We serve our small businesses. We love to get engaged with them when they're at the simplest level and love to grow with them. And we're built for the mom and pop shop, but we're built for them to grow and go corporate and grow and get even bigger as well. So that's what we love to do. We love to see the growth of our partnerships with our local businesses.
Yeah. So I'll share because I talk about Juan and Frost Bank all of the time. We were super impressed with you and not just your team. Like you didn't just come with the team of people in your location.
Right.
And you came with the team of people from across the Metroplex,
Right.
from all different communities to when you all sponsored our 3-day business strategy boot camp. Not only that, I need y'all to know that Juan came back with his homework done and he had his 30-second elevator pitch done and everything. But let me tell you something. One of the reasons why we do this, one of the reasons why we host the red light, and it is so important to us, is because the caliber of people that we connect with. Notice I said people, not companies, not organizations, not because you can find a bad seed anywhere. But the people that we've had the pleasure of connecting with, Juan and his team from all over the Metroplex took such great care of us that those that were in the boot camp who were Frost Bank customers vouched for them. They didn't have to say anything. You guys didn't even have to do a sales pitch or anything because those who were there that were your customers, that you didn't invite, by the way, they just so happened to be there and be Frost customers, vouched for you. But the way you all cared for us and took care of us, it was it was something I've never seen. And I've worked with sponsors for years, but it was just something that I've never seen. So one of the things that people are, like I said, are always asking is, who should I bank with? And normally they base that on somebody else just housing their money at some other place and they didn't get charged any fees, or the fees are low, or whatever. But talk a little bit about why the relationship with your banker as a small business is one of the absolute most important relationships that you need to have. And when I say that, I don't mean with the bank,
Right.
I mean with the banker.
And I'll tell you this, accessibility.
Right.
You need to be able to access your banker outside the normal business hours. You don't want to have to re-explain your story every time you call a number and someone picks up the phone and you have to re-explain who you are. You know, you got to cover payroll. You got an emergency that happens. Somebody has to float you maybe a line of credit, maybe an interim credit to cover the gap for that. So having a relationship with your business partner, and I'm not saying that other banks do not do it. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that is the lifeline. We're talking just on lifeline is, do you know your banker by name, and is he or she accessible to you when you need them most outside of the business hours, and what kind of flexibility they have? Because again, for us, I mean, we're very nimble. We give autonomy to our bankers to make decisions on the spot. And we operate not in the black, not in the white, we operate in the blue, which is our values. That's what we operate. We operate in the blue. We will always do the right thing. It doesn't have to check a box. There is no box at Frost. Really, there isn't a box in reference to, if it makes sense and you have a relationship, talk it over with your team and let's help out. I've had situations when I used to be a banker. Lady would come in, and I remember this specific experience where she came in and there was an issue with her check. And, you know, it was Friday. She went to deposit it. It was an outside the bank check, outside of town. She had no money. She had no kids, had 2 screaming kids in the background. All the money she had been with us probably about a year, never bounced a check, never did anything, always just, you know, did what she had to do. I reached out to my manager and she says, Juan, what do you think you should do? I said, you're going to tell me you give her entire check. That's just the way I roll.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And she said, Juan, let's just do it. Let's give her the interim credit. We'll wait for the 3 or 4 days, but it's going to help her today. And the look on her face to be like, hey, listen, I'm going to make it all available for you. Go do what you got to handle. You cannot put value. So, you know, one of my founding principles as to why I do things came from one of my mentors. She was a woman, FDIC, former military. And she told me this. She said, everyone can get a paycheck. Everybody works to get a paycheck. The question is, how are you going to change someone's life on a daily basis?
Yeah.
And that's what I love about Frost. I wake up looking, looking to change someone's life. And that is a philosophy and the culture that flows in the company. And that's why I love it.
I love that. And I can tell just by interacting with you all that that's the culture of your company. And that's not just something that you all say, that it actually is what it is for you guys. So when talk a little bit more about what questions should a small business owner ask when they are vetting their bank?
One of the questions really is, what are you guys looking to do to help? And what I mean by that is, what separates you from the other people? Because at the end of the day, we all borrow from the federal government. At the end of the day, we all have the same underwriting guidelines. We all borrow the rate from the same pot. So what makes the difference, right? And I think it really just has to do, when you go in, is set your expectations as to say, this is what I want. And have that list of whatever it is that you're looking for, and ask them, what can you do?
Right.
And I would always say, recap what I told you. and get a vibe for it. If you go into a place, it only takes about 3 minutes to know if that person's really engaged
Yeah.
or if not. And hey, I'm gonna say this: it's okay to walk away. You own your business.
Yes.
Right.
Let's understand that they're using your deposits to lend. Let's understand that you are in a position of being able to say, if you don't feel comfortable, that's okay. You don't feel comfortable for whatever reason. But one of the questions you should ask is, what do I need to get approved for a loan?
Oh, that's good.
Right. Yeah.
What do you go to bank for? You don't go to bank to get cookies or groceries. You go to bank to get money.
People do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right?
And another thing, Juan, during this time of COVID-19, what are other things that business owners should be doing during this time to protect themselves or to apply?
The biggest thing is, I would say, how is your digital media platform? How are you engaging the millennials? How are you engaging your digital media? Are you doing little stuff like this, like getting on your own page and just having a conversation with folks? Are you fixing up a latte with someone, showing them the back work? Are you taking, if you're a restaurant, are you doing a Facebook Live of how their food gets cooked? People will love to see how their food gets cooked and prepped, to see the cleanliness of the back kitchen. No one ever gets to see that. So what I would say is, how are you going to move forward in your digital media platform? What works and what doesn't work? And you might get to a point where it may be a combination of two things. You might start building an audience online. Don't forget that audience. Once we open up, you might be supplying online food orders and you might be supplying physical. We don't know how long this is going to go. So for business owners, I would say, keep it simple, people. You don't have to have a robust following and you don't have to have huge. Pick up your phone, do a Facebook Live and engage your people differently and have them come in. You could have it on Instagram. You can have people request to come in and ask you a question. They may not even know you were the owner of that restaurant, or you're the owner of that store. So I would say, just find a way to stay creative, in number one. And number two, look for all these free trainings that are available.
Yes.
Like the Red Development Group is offering webinars, and then you just sit there and you just soak and learn, take it in, and take advantage of this is the time to build yourself. This is the time to learn, to hone in your skills, to analyze what worked, what didn't work, what's going to work moving forward. And you might even end up creating a brand new product that you didn't know was needed. So
absolutely. And one of the questions that I always tell clients to ask if they're looking for their banker is, who are they lending the majority of their money to? Because everybody doesn't lend the same. There are some bankers who lend for development projects. There's lenders who lend more towards small business or medium business or big business. So what conversations would you say that a small business owner should be having with their banker right now? Like, what are those conversations you wish your business owners would call in and have with you?
Number one, I would like them to, when I have a conversation, is, what is your plan moving forward? So I think people are so stuck as to the now, right? But how do we transition? How do we make use of, how do we sit back? Where am I at? And as a banker, tell me what my quarter was, when I was high, when I was low. And then you get to determine, what did you do in that high? Because you might have been missing something. Because you might have thought that this product was good, but hey, this other product that you didn't know, they didn't give you the time to sit down. So I would want my business to come in and say, when was my highest profit? And then I'll go back and see, what did I do during that time period? So keep working on what's good. When was my lowest? What happened at that point? So I would say, sit down and have a conversation, a financial conversation with your banker as to, when was my highs, when were my lows, and then you can sit back and find out what worked and what didn't work. Because the worst thing that you can do is think that you know without looking at it. And y'all know, man, business owners, that's 18, 19-hour days. You don't have time to sit down and go. Many times you've got a friend of a friend who's working your QuickBooks, or you have an accountant that's a friend of a friend, and you're just trusting them. But now you have the time to actually look at the data and also ask them, hey, what provisions are you guys doing to allow me to stay open?
Yeah.
Or is there any debt forgiveness? Is there any forbearance? Is there any cancellation of interest and just pay principal? Can I hold off for 6 months until I get my business back on? What resources do you know in the community, federally or locally, that can support me as well? So really hone in. Where are your business partners? Where's your Avengers team that I like to call? Who do you know that I can reach out to as well, and that can support us in this situation?
Juan, a lot of business owners, their revenue's coming in, but they really may not understand how to read their financials. What do you recommend for them? I know you mentioned financial literacy earlier. What do you recommend that they do?
Red Development Group.
Say that again.
Right. I mean, guys, you don't have to recreate the wheel. This is where my philosophy comes in. You're gonna pay no matter what.
Yeah.
You're either gonna pay because you're gonna learn by experience, or you're gonna pay so you don't have to learn the hard way. And Red Development Group has the secret sauce. You don't have to recreate the wheel. So I'm not a financial expert. I work at a bank, but I understand that I have a support group around me, my Avengers team, that is specific to what they want to do. And instead of me waiting or analyzing, going through all these YouTube videos and going through all this mantra of analyzing things, no, man, that's time wasted. When someone already knows how to do it, and I don't want to have to pay. Well, you're gonna pay no matter what. Yeah. That's just the way it goes. So I would say, reading is good, but when you're talking about this is the way I put it. If you want to be where someone is, talk to them when they were where you were.
Right. Yes.
And that's what I would reach out to people who have been successful. And ask them how they did it. And I guarantee you that, with at least, and I'm not champion Red Development Group just because of red light. Y'all know me, I do it off camera, right, day in and day out. But they have a proven track record, and they're accessible. And that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. Juan, you talked about opportunity and flexibility. And one of the things that we've been talking a lot about since we understood, or we speculated that the stay-at-home orders, that was going to be in place pretty quickly. And once we understood that, we immediately understood that because of the stay-at-home place, the mentality of people would mean it would communicate to them that they needed to stop. And that they wouldn't be actively looking for the opportunities like you spoke about earlier. You get up every day looking for the life that you can change. So we understood that there were going to be a lot of people who stopped whatever they were doing and was at a standstill simply because of the stay-at-home order, but they're missing the vast majority of the opportunity that's out there. And I didn't realize that they could come to you as their banker and say, hey, can you look at my account and financials and tell me where I was high and low? And I assume that there were, and I do this every day. I assume that there are other people who don't realize that, because we will hire an accountant, we'll hire a CPA, we'll use QuickBooks, but we don't have two things to set side by side to make sure these two things match. So we've got to balance it.
And if you have a CPA, and if you have a person that does that, now it's just time to sit down and talk with them, and have that conversation where before you wouldn't be able to have. I saw something on Instagram that really shook me at the beginning of this whole COVID-19 shutdown. And it formed, or it challenged my thinking. And it was a simple post, really, and the simplicity of stuff challenges you and impacts you the most. It says, if you don't walk out of this situation with a new skill, with a new task, or a new beginning, you never lack time, you lack discipline.
Mm.
Right.
That's good. Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, okay, so what skill, what task, what new thing am I walking out of this? So when I wanted to binge on a Netflix show, when I wanted to go ahead and binge on something or sit back, I'm like, okay, what? When I see my people,
Right.
when I come back into the fold and they ask me, what have you done? I want to be able to give them 10 things, new skills, new things, new books, new technology, new things that I done with my time. And that small thing really, really just broke me. If you don't walk out, and I think discipline is the biggest key.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree. So, Juan, how can you or how can we together impact the world?
How can I think the biggest thing is transparency and accountability. That's the only way change comes. You got to be transparent, you got to be open, and you have to be accountable. If you're not held accountable by those that you're being transparent with, then change really doesn't come. But in the middle of those two things, we have to build a platform where people can be transparent and not feel judged through their transparency.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I loved when I first came in to interact with the Red Development Group at that chamber event. That chamber event, y'all don't even know all the bad things that happened before I even got at that event.
Wow.
It was a cold, rainy, horrible day. I stepped out of my car and into a puddle, and I had a boxes, and we had materials, and I'm running around, and all of this happened, right? But I remember this business owner, and because we're talking about change, right? How do we change? How do we impact the world? Is that right? Did I get that?
That's right. You got it.
So this in the event that we were in, for those that weren't at the event, Red Development Group was giving a sample chatting session of what their seminar kind of looks like. And they were helping out a lady who had a catering business or wanted to get a catering business and was asking for help. And so our role was really to provide feedback for this person. And I remember, I will never forget, I'm sitting down on my table and people are getting up. She goes through her business plan and they're like, well, you should do this and you should do this. And that was a great speech, man. And I remember Colette gets, I was like, all right, people, enough with the fluff.
Right.
Enough with all the little blah, blah, blah. This is, she is on fire.
Yeah.
Right.
And asking y'all for water and y'all just blowing oxygen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay? So I need you to be able to really challenge her because she's asking for help. So cut the fluff. And then all of a sudden, people went from nice to 100 degrees bad. And this poor young lady, I was like, ooh, you know? But, you know, so my impact was, first of all, I'd never seen somebody take over a room like that. I was just like, oh. I pulled a Kevin Hart. It's about to go down.
Right.
Right? But then Colette came in and really was very direct, but soft, direct out of love, out of passion. And we in that place, we created a platform for that. Later on, I ran into her at another event that we had that I was talking about this and that, and the lady, she was there. I mean, she was there at the event that we sponsored. So how do we change conversations? But we have to have transparency, accountability, but build a platform where people can come in and be transparent and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Not feel that they're being judged. I mean, listen, for all of you business owners out there, if you started, you were already a champion.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Just a thought. Even if you're thinking and just have a business plan, you already won.
Yeah.
You're already in the top 10%. So keep moving in that direction.
And Juan, I'm glad you brought that up because in, to build off of what you said, that's one of the things that absolutely with everything that's going on around race and everything that's going around our health right now, the only way we get to a new destination is being transparent and being authentic and being sincere and being open and no longer being fluffy with people. Like I don't, and I'm sure you probably remember this too. One of the things in our boot camp we're processing at one point, and I will stop them in the middle to go, no, and I'll check the room. And the crazy thing about it is I'll check the room first, and I'll go, okay, what did you guys, and they'll go, oh, well, she said, and then I'll go, well, what does she do? And they had no answer because we've been so programmed to hear the fluff, nod our head and go, that was That's good, right. and walk away knowing nothing.
But the interesting part, you see that in day one, maybe day two, day three.
Yeah.
Complete different people.
Absolutely.
Right.
Tough skin, ready to go, fired up. And I think, I grew up with tough love. I had a tough mom, and I grew up with tough love. And I think that in this day and age, the fluff needs to stop.
Right.
Because I've got 2 young girls, and I've had a conversation with my oldest, a 16-year-old, and I told her, I'm going to tell you this with all the love in my heart, life is going to bite you, chew you up, grind you down, and spit you back up.
And
what are you going to do?
That's right. You know, we're sitting here talking about transparency, and I think one thing that most business owners don't really do is embrace their financials. So when you talk about how will you come out of this following COVID, you know, so many people have run to their CPA just to do the paperwork.
Tax time.
Well, not tax time, and then also for the PPP. I'm hoping that, you know, in order for you to really build a strong company, you have to understand every aspect of your company. So I'm hoping that during this time, they will become more familiar with their financials and not be so intimidated by their financials or what they represent. Sometimes.
Correct. And I think that it's free. You know how many free webinars the government, the SBA, the USA are putting out there? You just have to surround yourself with the right links, the right people, the right resources. I've got probably invited to 8 or 10 different webinars. I'm getting webinars now, how to get your debt forgiveness, a step-by-step checklist process. Man, there's a lot of them free resources for anybody out there. And I think that that's the biggest thing is, you know, how to be able, where can you get the resources? You don't have to pay for them. They're right there. But are you disciplined enough to sit down and look for it? Because if you just do a simple Google search, all of these things pop up. And they're right there available.
Disciplined and or you don't allow your ego to get in the way.
Right? Yeah, you're right.
One of the things that Reggie and I are taking a week to do all week, every day this week, is we sat back to have the conversation about funding, because we have sponsors like Frost Bank and others and things like that. But we sat down to have a serious conversation that says, okay, we can be everybody else. We can do what everybody else does. And I'm sure that the way we handled Frost Bank was probably different than an experience that you all have ever had. But that for us, that's not good enough. And so all this week, we're just talking about funding. We're talking about sponsorship. We're talking about what are we doing with these resources? What do we want those relationships to look like so that we don't just have Frost sponsor this one thing, but they come in and they're going, we're riding this thing out for you for the year.
Well, and it's not even just the relationship with their collaboratives. It's what we want the client to yield.
Yeah.
Right? How strong do we want them to become economically? Are they ready? Do they have the mindset to make the change? And then if they do, are you ready to be an economic force within your community or globally?
Yeah.
Correct. And I think that when you're having those conversations funding-wise, find out what is your major cost that you struggle with to find funding. Is it volunteers to just wrap up little gift baskets? Is it is if boots on the ground. So, you know, Frost philosophy is two-tone. You know, we've got financial sponsorship and we have what I like to call, I just call it impact sponsorship. So yeah, we'll come in with some finances, but I think what we really make the difference is how can I put boots on the ground to support your event and make it a success? And whether it be through water, whether it be napkins, pens, pads, all of these things. So when you guys are having those conversations as business owners, try to find out, okay, what organizations are lined up to my vision and mission?
Yes.
That I can get them to come in and support this event financially. Because if you don't have to come out of pocket for a greeter, if you don't have to come out of pocket for someone to, you know how awesome it would be at an event just to have somebody open the door, be like, hey, how you doing? The event is up the store. Boom. The moment you walk out, you know, a little red champion t-shirt, whatever the case may be, is when you're having those conversations, think about the little stuff that eats up your margins.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Not the big stuff. I mean, you'll have a big corporation come in, 5-star dinner, but they never show up.
Yeah.
You know, so the little things that people can take with them, that people can see, you know, the details, and then that's where the impact really comes. In my view, that's what I look forward to. When I partner with someone or when I go to an event, I look at the small impacts and the small things that make that eat up my margins the most.
Juan, you just said something really important, and it is one of the things we talk about all the time. It is important that the people that you partner with are in alignment with your mission, your vision, your core values, which is why we love Frost, because Frost is in alignment with who we are and what we do and why we do it. We didn't just randomly go pick somebody. Juan ended up calling me like, yo, are we doing something? I'm like, wait a minute, Harley, like, I gotta check you out first. You don't just get to roll up and give us money. We gotta check you out.
You know me, listen, I know people. One of my things that I do is I know people. And when I find good people with good causes, those are the people I want to get connected with and stay with. And, you know, that's it. At the end of the day, you're the average of the 6 people or 5 people you hang around with. If I'm hanging around y'all, I'm freaking awesome then.
Yeah, and vice versa.
You know, so that's the biggest thing there. So, yeah, you have to, but you're right. You have to know what their vision, their mission statement is, because that's going to drive behavior, and that's going to drive passion. And you can't recreate passion. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah, and it helps you to understand why somebody's in relationship with you, and are they in it, and you have to determine for yourself, because the truth of the matter is not all business owners are in it for the long game. Red Development Group is all about the long game, and so we have to be paired with collaborators and clients that are thinking about the long game. We're not thinking about the short-term thing. We just met with residential developer, and because we're putting together a group of female investors, and you know, one of the things he said, well, they have to understand. I said, we already get it that it's the long game, but we're good that it's the long game, because that's what we do. We're about longevity, we're about legacy, all of that kind of stuff. And another reason why I like Frost is you guys have that longevity. You all have that legacy. And I love it that every time you show up, you talk about it, because I think it's important. And you said, if you want to learn how to do something, go ask the people that have already done it. And so connecting ourselves with Frost, and you all connecting with us is that.
So talking a little bit about longevity, I'm going to do a little plug for my manager here. My manager last week celebrated 40 years at Frost.
Wow.
Now think about that. In this market and time and industry where turnover is the day-to-day, the average tenure of leadership in Frost is about 20 to 25 years. So why is that important? Because there's not one crisis or situation that you see that they probably haven't seen 4 or 5 times over.
Right.
And that brings me so much calmness to know that I'm going to go to them and they're going to have the wisdom. But talking about longevity, that's our approach. When I sit down with a client, right, and they went, okay, I want to get a pool, I want to get a lot of credit, I want to buy a house, I want to do this. Okay, hold on, slow down. what's your 10-year game plan?
Yes.
You know, because at the end of the day, people, you gotta live by decades.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So what's your 10-year game plan? The reason I say that is because are you gonna be in this house the next 10 years? No. Then that's already okay. Then this doesn't matter. The interest doesn't matter. What you're making. Okay. So what matters for you? What do you want? Well, I want to do this. Why do you want to do it? Because I want to build a house. I want to do a pool. I want to have. Okay. So what's your long-term plan? Are you going to sell this house? Are you going to keep it and rent it? So we have all of these conversations because we want to work forward and then work backwards to get you to that goal. And that's why those conversations take. And I've been in situations where I've told people, this is not the right loan for you. You're not ready for it. And that's okay. And you have, as a business owner, you have to learn that if someone says no, okay, no worries. We grow.
One of the things I did when I was younger, I knew I wanted to buy a house by the time I was 30. And so on my 27th birthday, I went to the bank and I said, okay, I'm going to buy a house in 3 years. I just need to know if I'm ready. And if I'm not, what do I need to do to be ready in 3 years? I bought my first house at 27. I was ready. I didn't know, but I didn't know. And I'm going into the bank thinking I'm not ready, but I didn't know until I asked the question. And so would you encourage business owners who are Frost Bank customers who plan on becoming Frost Bank customers to come in and say, I'm a business owner. I would like to have a business loan, maybe for $150,000. What do I need to do in order to make that happen in 12 months, 24 months, 36 months?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the biggest thing. What's your goal? You have to know where you're going and where you want to be. Because if not, you're just working the system and you're working that hamster wheel. So it's not going to be, and I say this candidly, this is your business. The banker's not going to proactively come to you and ask you what your game plan is and where you want to be the next 5 or 10 years. But I can tell you this, if you go and you have an open relationship with them, and when I'm meeting business owners, I'm looking at them, I'm looking at their character, I'm looking at their vibe, and then I'm thinking of, okay, what's the business banker that's going to connect with this individual, that's going to get them to where they want to be, because I want to position you for success right off the gate. I don't need you to wake up. You've already running. I don't need you. I don't want you walking. I want you to hit the ground running with the best person who has the opportunity for success. But yeah, sit down with your banker and have that conversation with them to say, this is where I want to be. What do I need to do to get there? Definitely.
So Juan, final question.
Okay, can I?
Okay, what? No, she said she's not ready.
No. I was like, no.
There's more. Okay.
So here's a question, because I think you just said something super important. You said that you talked to the business owner to determine which one of your bankers is the best one to solve whatever they need solved.
Or have a good ambiance. Like, are you an older gentleman? Are you a millennial? Are you strictly construction? Like, when we sit down and we analyze, my counterpart, she's not here right now, Pilar Johnson. She's my counterpart as well. We sit down after meeting, we're like, who do you think this person could be with? I don't know. Nah, I don't think, okay, who that? Yeah, I think that's a good bet. And every single time, boom, boom, boom. But we have to be intentional.
Right.
Yes.
Just with the chance. You gotta be strategic. You have to be intentional.
Yeah, and I think it's important because we really work to get people out of the mindset that your bank should be the one that your cousin banks at. Your bank should be the one that you banked at since you were 14 as it pertains to your business. Getting out of that mindset and really having a conversation with the bank and maybe even asking the question, who is the banker here that can best help me get to where I want to get to? But you got to start with your
right. I'll tell you, it's gonna be me. But I'm laughing. I'm laughing because my daughter, we're talking about getting her bank account and everything, and me and my wife have 2 different banks that we bank with. overall, just the relationship that we have. And the conversation we're having right now is like whoever she starts with, she's most likely going to end up with.
Yeah.
Because once you start that relationship, it's really hard. So it's really important that, if from a business perspective, that you start the right way. And because once you have accounts and you have auto drafts and auto debits and all that stuff, that's really, it's tough. It's tough to make those transitions as you start growing.
Good stuff. Okay, you guys.
So first, I need to shout out to Pilar Johnson. But she has a new last name, right?
No, it's still Johnson.
Okay, very good. And the reason why I did that, because she came the day before her wedding and she did not have to. And you guys were so super engaged.
Yes.
So shout out to Pilar.
That's my partner in crime or my partner in business, and she's great. So I'm gonna let her know. So maybe she could do her own red light. See, I didn't want to share
her own red light.
I didn't want to share the spot with her because she has her own spotlight. We got different spotlights. She deserves every minute of the 1 hour you guys are gonna give her.
Right, she does have her own glow. You're right.
Yes.
So Juan, why did you connect with Red Development, and why would you recommend other collaborative partners to connect with Red Development Group?
It's just their unapologetic way of doing what they have to do to make you successful. And if that's gonna ruffle your feathers a bit, if that's gonna put you in an uncomfortable position, then that's okay. Because at the end of the day, the goal is to make you successful. And one of my core values, what I live and strive for, is looking for strategies to help individuals discover the better version of themselves.
There you go.
And that's based on the Genesis 1:26 principle. We were made in the image and likeness of God.
Come on.
Therefore, there is the best that is in you. I am committed to getting it out of you, whether you can see it in yourself or not. I can see it. I want not you to see it. Everybody can see it. I want you to live in it. And those core values are great. So that's why my favorite quote, and I read it, is, "He who refuses to discipline his own character has disqualified himself to lead others towards triumph in life." That's Dr. Joaquin G. Molina. So folks, if you see Reggie and you see Colette, it's because they have put themselves through rigorous training, through rigorous experiences, shelling, overing, taking off the skin and coming into a new skin, and taking out the skin and coming into it, and are constantly fresh and are constantly challenging themselves. So you're going to always get the best version of them because they're constantly evolving to bring you the best. And to me, when someone is always striving to be better and not caught in their ways, there's nothing but progress and freshness coming out of that. So that's one of the reasons why I connected with Red Development. That's one of the reasons I'm connected, and I look forward to really staying connected at the end of the day. That's what's that.
Very good.
Thank you.
So Colette, is it time for us to let him go and plan his 100th birthday party?
Yeah. So
that was good.
Inside joke, Juan already has his 100th birthday party planned. So you know what I said, Juan? That's why he's my friend.
That's it. And not only that, if I don't make it to my 100 years, I've already got my funeral set up with stand-up comedy, me making fun of myself through a video. I've already got that set up. We're going to laugh about my celebration of life at 100 years or before. So, man, you have to have these goals. I'm not going to die. I'm not dying until I hit 100.
There you go.
Right. You ain't going to die after that. We got red light to continue your legacy.
Come on.
Right. Right.
This has been so good. We always love connecting with Juan. If you can't already tell, it's trouble to be in the room together. Y'all don't even understand.
We gotta be at separate ends. And we still yelling over the booth to have our own conversation.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, aren't y'all supposed to be working? Huh? We are.
This is work.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
This has been fun.
Oh, and if you're asking why I'm in my car, because technically this is my office.
Yeah. Right.
I'm out in the community day in and day out, meeting with neighborhood associations, meeting with food pantries, community leaders, business owners. So I kind of wanted to do the conversation in my car because really this is how I spend my day in and out, meeting people day by day. So
Yeah.
We love it.
So if you need a banker, listen, I'm telling you, Juan and Pilar and that team over at Frost Bank is
Yeah.
unlike any other. I'm just telling you, they're amazing. And they treat you like royalty. And
Mhm.
I
and even
love,
just to have a conversation, guys.
yeah,
Again, if you hear something and you want to bounce it off someone else, you may have a great relationship with your banker right now, but they might have said something or done something that you don't understand. Hey, just reach out. I'm not looking to pull for Frost. I'm looking to pull for you.
yeah,
And I want to be able to just advise you and empower you because I know by doing that, I'm doing what my core value is, and I want to give you the opportunity to be successful wherever that may be.
I love it.
yes, yes. So Juan, can they call and ask questions about PPP and all of that?
They
Yeah,
can ask
cool.
all the questions, and if again, we have a dedicated PPP team in Dallas that is working those files. We have a dedicated team that's working the forgiveness as well. And we're nimble. One of the things about Falls, we're nimble. We can move, shift, move, create. Call me, and if I don't know, I'll definitely. One of my core things is not what you know, is who you know.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we've been hanging out with Juan Marquez from Frost Bank, one of our amazing red champions. As you can see, we always have fun when we're together, but we're all very passionate about making sure that not only are you good, but your greatness is it shows up. You give it away every day because that is who we are, what we do, and that's what we believe in. We don't want your goodness to become the enemy to your greatness. And so we are expecting you to show up and be great because as entrepreneurs, we are the superheroes of the world. We are the ones solving the problems that the world has and being the solution. If you own a business and you're not being the solution, we need you to make an adjustment
Mhm.
and become the solution and then go find those who have the problem that you solve.
There you go.
This has been Red Light with Colette Portis.
And Veggie Stearns Camp
Thank you guys for joining us for another Red Light. We'll see you next
next
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Thank you, Juan.
Thank you,
Thank you, girls.
Juan.
Take care. Be easy.
Okay.
Juan, you're awesome.
I know.